Chris, and spent a little bit of time working in the studio here this afternoon on a Saturday afternoon, getting ready for some things, doing a little post-production and proofing work for one of our big projects that's coming out. The first of basically releases on January 4th coming up, and it made me thinking about 2026 is here. It is just right on our doorstep, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking to my pastor friends, and I know my Facebook feed and some of this goes out to really everybody I know in the world, and most of you know I do a lot of work with local churches and help churches become more efficient and more effective in what they're doing. Really in the area of reaching new young families. Heard another story today of a church that was just everybody was 70 and older, and I think that's a shame. Our churches need to be reaching young families, and specifically new young families, and bringing those folks in. And so that's what I do, is spend a lot of time online coaching and helping. And of course, we've created a lot of curriculum and online courses to help make all that happen. So I was just working on our the big one that we have coming out. It's kind of a back to church training that we've got, and it comes out in January 4th is kind of when it launches. But it needs to be all done and ready now, so that it can be all kind of ready to go by then, because that's when our pastors will be signing up, and laymen too sign up for this and learn how to kind of unify their church and how to recruit volunteers, which is really one of the biggest questions we get all along. And then how to deal with kind of social media, another big question, promote your church, and then how to just really get things done, do what the church needs to do. Churches need to do what they're supposed to do, and not just kind of be stuck into the every 7-day habit ritual thing. And so my job, and really what I've done for most of my ministry career, is help churches be better at reaching their young people, reaching their young families, and keeping them. And there's where we got the name of our ministry, ReachKeep. That's reachkeep.com, is sort of the digital side of the Baptist Youth Mission that I've been involved in for pretty close to 40 years now, which is quite amazing. So anyway, I just was doing some work. We've got quite a bit of video and that does training that shows pastors, how this is being done in our church and other churches, how to unify, recruit volunteers and all that. I'm just doing the touch-up work on a little of it, getting ready. And I thought, I'll just take a few moments and go live here on YouTube and Facebook and spend a little bit of time with my friends. So if you're here and you want to leave a comment, you can. You can put it in the little thing below. Just let me know where you're from and how warm it is where you're at, because it's a little chilly where we live. We got snow coming here in a few days, and excited about that. So the gist of what I've been working on is, or want to kind of just mention to you, is that now is the time to get ready for 2026. If you're in church work, you know what December is like, and you know what Christmas is like. It just gets so busy. In addition to all the family things that you have, and picking up presents and doing things like that, there's most pastors and youth workers are involved in Christmas programs with the church, but also you're going to the public school ones and being with your kids, and spending time doing a lot more things. There's just a lot more activity. But okay, here's the kind of the kicker. One of the most important seasons in life to really kind of grow a church or to reach out to new families is the January time, January, early February time of the year. It's sort of that a natural momentum time. There are times in life and in the world when there are kind of natural momentums, and I think churches need to take advantage of natural momentums. I remember the 9/11 thing when that happened quite a few years ago, but there was a call to prayer for our nation, and almost every church I know had special prayer, as our nation was attacked here in America, and that was a good thing. Take advantage of that and do the call to prayer. recently, we had the Charlie Kirk thing, which was sort of a call to stand for God. And churches, hopefully, took advantage or at least mentioned it. I mean, they don't have to have a whole service dedicated to it, but mention that, yeah, it's important to stand for what you believe in. And if you do, there can be some consequences. There may be local situations that you've taken advantage of, a major tragedy in your area, and it's sort of to take advantage of that natural moment of, hey, we need to pay attention. Life is short, and we just lost some people in an accident, or something along that line. So besides those, there's this natural time, and Christmas time is sort of busy and all that, and everyone gets hectic. But when the New Year's time comes, and I know some of it's tied to sort of the New Year's resolution thing, it's where people kind of say, I need to, they say, I need to lose weight or exercise more, whatever. But in their mind, a lot of people, it's like, I need to kind of get back to church. I need to get my kids in a good environment. I need to kind of get back to, stable things and not materialistic things. And Christmas is a wonderful time of the year. I love preaching and teaching on Christmas. We have a lot of Christmas sermons that we send out. In fact, one of our more popular things, has thousands of uploads, is the 19 Christmas sermon ideas. And, pastors need ideas on how to kind of do good Christmas. But we all know that Christmas is extremely busy. And we all know that first week after Christmas, too, I think Christmas, I forget what the Sunday is. I'm kind of lost on it here right now. But the one right before New Year's and Christmas, that one, there's still a lot of people out of town. But it's a January 4th one, okay, that is going to be the one where you're going to have people come back to your church. And especially if you let them know, like, hey, we teach on building strong families, and your family can be strong. You can grow and be stronger and better by coming to our church. We help with those things. If you do some advertising, some Facebook stuff on some of that, get that out in the community with flyers or whatever, that will help you to reach new young families. And then you want to be ready with good content, which would be your sermons and your midweek Bible studies and things along that line, that would help you reach these new young families and bring them in and keep them and disciple them, because our job is to go into all the world, and wherever you are, there's a lot of world right around you, that needs the Lord. So it's just kind of one of those very, very important times of the year to take advantage of the natural momentum, the January time, but you're not going to have time to work on that, in December. It's just not going to happen. Extra sermon time, let's do some flyers to kind of reach families, and let's do it. It's very hard to do anything extra. It's hard to just be normal, during Christmas time. It just gets to be so hectic. So I want to encourage you that now is the time. I mean, you've got a week or so before Thanksgiving. You got to, and that's busy for us because we got travels, and maybe you do too. Then after that, there's kind of that first week of December. You might get a little bit of work done. But right now, I mean, these next 2 or 3 weeks, if you want to really get something done, okay, now in January, okay, you have to do the work now. Okay, you got to put the seeds in the ground now. You've got to figure out, if you're, printing things, or if you're got, special sermon series, or if you'd like, and I really like it when they have, the music is really coordinated with the church, and maybe you have some specials or different things that are going to come. You can't, like the first week of January, go, by the way, could you sing tomorrow? That doesn't go as good as it should. Or if you want to show some special presentation, and I think the churches really need to, take time in January and to have some type of sermon series, and whether you preach, kind of verse by verse, or, what we call verse with verse, and have a, more of a topical type of thing. you can plan that ahead and give it a theme and know where you're going and let people know what you're speaking on, and have, those January sermons kind of sort of blocked out, the main titles of them, kind of what they're going to be about, because people learn by topics. Okay, they learn and grow in topical areas. Okay, we go to college and take a class, and we're in school, we learn to cursive, or we learn, writing, reading, writing, arithmetic. We tend to learn by topics, and the Bible is just filled with these tremendous topics that we need to use to be responsible in our community, to reach the people in our community. And so during the holiday season, you can be thinking about those and refining your message, but you have to really kind of jump on it early right now, and kind of make sure you kind of know where you're going. And I actually yesterday I had 5 coaching sessions. It was like overload day. I couldn't even remember what I was doing by the time the last one over about 9 o'clock at night. But I am helping pastors right now, like, kind of shape their Januaries and Februaries, kind of plan it out. Like, what are you doing for preaching? Are there some, midweek things that we can connect with that make it really cohesive? So we invite people at Christmas, when you have all the, visitors and stuff come, you can say, and by the way, on January 4th, we're starting this thing. And on, a couple of days after that, we're going to do Bible study on this, and, let people know. I'm helping churches with that. And there's many churches that are seeing a need to kind of break out of some of the routine, the regularism that they happen to do, and kind of take a month or so and really focus on a singular topic. And of course, during the holiday season, it's going to be focused on the Lord's birth and his advent, and coming again. Some really good stuff there, as how to preach on Christmas, I'm sure. But after that, you want to invite people to something that is going to be very helpful for them, that's going to solve a problem in their life. It's probably not the time to start the series on the furniture in the tabernacle, that which would be interesting to you and me, but would not necessarily be interesting, or not necessarily be helpful as it could be. And we believe that churches, and the flourishing churches that I work with and the people that I train, there's 3 kind of common denominators, but one of the big ones is just the idea that a church provides solutions. And so when people come to church, they go home with an answer. Okay, and it's a biblical answer, obviously, but they go home with, they're free from their guilt, they've been forgiven, they came to the Lord, they repented. Those are some of the big themes. But there might be also that their children are learning responsibility, and the children are learning self-control, and they themselves are maybe heard a message on patience, and they're learning patience. In other words, some of the biblical character things that are happening, they need to have that, and we need to every Sunday solve a problem, because every Sunday problems walk into your church. There are people walking into your church that are broken and messed up and really looking for an answer. Okay, and there's a handful that come, because, hey, it's Sunday and I'm supposed to be there. And I think that's a good habit, and I've got it myself, I do it. But people that come hungry, blessed are those which do hunger, okay, and thirst after righteousness. Okay, we need to be satisfying them and giving them a solution, giving them a conclusive thing that they can go home with, and take that and use that the rest of the week, and they'll probably have it all used up and come back the next Sunday for more. That's why you go to the store, because you used up what you got the last time. You go to the store because the last time you went to the store, you got what you needed. And you stop at the gas station because the last time you went there, they had gas, and you used it all up and you need some more. And we need to be in the solution providing business. Now, if you want to provide solutions for people on January 4th, okay, it's going to be really hard to come up with really, good, comprehensive, well thought out, good graphics, promotion, let the community know on Facebook, hand out things to your people so they can invite their friends and, have your topics ready. It's going to be hard to pull all that off in the first couple of days of January because of what happens every December. We all go crazy. Okay, it gets so busy. And so that's why you need to do it now. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working on, I have a coaching class that I'm doing called the Back to Church Crash Course. And it's sort of a, 8 weeks of just like really intense, like, okay, we're going to help you get people back to church. And that class starts on January 4th. There's videos that are released and you watch them on your phone and stuff like that throughout the week. You don't attend a class on Sunday. That's just when the computer spits out the content, and then we get together on a group coaching thing for several of the weeks. On Thursday is how we do it. Get together and we talk about these things, and I share some solutions that people are needing. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time here and just share some of that with you, that I'm burdened for, and I love my churches and I work with so many, and there are so many good people out there, but you have to start early on some of these things, okay? And all God's people said amen. Yeah, you've got to plant the seed early. You got to buy your seed. I mean, if you're a farmer, you know how that works. You'd have to go know what seed you want and buy the seed and all that stuff. You just can't, like, all of a sudden planting day, be ready. It's not going to be there. And in church work, it's far more important than planting soybeans, I can tell you that. We need to be ready. We need to be focused. We need to be touching lives and changing, because we're doing eternal things. And are not those eternal things worth us laying aside a few days in November, early December, and kind of getting ready for that? They definitely are, and are not those eternal things worth us sharpening our axe and figuring things out? My wife and I were talking this morning about health issues and A1C, and I've got a blood test coming up soon, and I've had a couple thyroid numbers that have been off from time to time, and then they get back on, and so we just kind of watching it real careful. But man, your health is important. So we signed up for this little course we're going to take and listen to a guy talk about healthy food. And it's like, we're paying attention to ourselves, churches and church leaders. And by the way, if you're a Sunday school teacher, you're a nursery worker, you decorate the church, you are important in all this too. I mean, this is stuff that you need to be ready for these things. And it's just not same old, same old. I mean, the downside of forsaking not the assembling of yourselves together, the idea that we come to church every Sunday and it happens every 7 days. We're there. The downside is habits can eventually, if we don't keep the zeal to them and our heart right, can eventually become rituals. Okay, they kind of go, habits kind of turn to routines, routines are good. But then they kind of turn to rituals, and then that's where the boring part comes, and they start to kind of fall apart on us, and people go just because they're supposed to be there. And that's probably, it's much better to go because you're excited to go, okay? Because you want to go, and because you're going to learn, and because you're serving, and because you've been planning for 8 weeks to do this particular thing. So, and people are excited about coming to church when there is some, kind of things that are a little bit different and kind of ready to go, and they've been kind of prepped for it. So anyway, enough on all that. Again, I'm working on this. If you are a pastor or in church work and you need to talk about this stuff, you can leave comments in there and say, please call me, or send me a direct message. You can do that on Facebook, and on YouTube, you can just leave a comment. The other way is on our website, thereachkeep.com. Across the top, there's a kind of a green bar, and if you click on that, it opens up my calendar, and you schedule a one-on-one, just you and me, Zoom call or phone call. We can do either way, and just we can talk about it, and just to talk about your Sunday school or your nursery, or your sermons that you're trying to figure out, or your position in the church, how you can be better supportive of your pastor and some of that. But I'm here for you. And that's really what my vocation is now that I'm retired from being kind of the senior guy at the church. I'm here and able to help churches all over the country. Yesterday, I was in New England. I was in the shores of North Carolina. I was in El Paso, Texas, as well as here in Wyoming. And so it's amazing what you can do with technology today. So anyway, I appreciate those of you leaving some comments. I can see a couple of them popping up, but I can't read them right now. But I will get to you here in just a little bit. And again, let me know where you're at and how cold it is. That's kind of the fun thing. So anyway, let's take advantage. Let's take a moment now and take advantage of the natural momentum that comes after Christmas and at that New Year's kind of resolution time. Let's take advantage of that as church leaders and be, effective and life-changing in our community. Okay, I mean that's why I started the church. We started a church here in 2007. It's like, we started to change the community. I mean, to bring the gospel and to help people, live the Christ-like life and what we call be a flourishing believer. And now I'm involved in creating flourishing churches, which is really just so much fun. And I've enjoyed everything. I told someone yesterday, I said, church planting was the funnest thing I ever did. We started in 2007, planted the church, and it was a blast. But I'm telling you what, I'm having a good time right now too. And really, I'm kind of still church planting, and just helping many churches with their plants. So anyway, love you guys. Appreciate all of you. For some of you who are just kind of regular friends on Facebook, this is sort of a glimpse into my ministry world. That I know I put up pictures of my little gray car. The blue car turned gray. You probably saw that. I know I put up pictures of fish, and my wife and I just had a picture up the other day on Facebook. Some of you figured out where that was. You're very good. And I'd love to correspond with all of you, but I'm here for you, here to help, and just grateful for the opportunity to be able to serve you and to serve many churches in this way. But now is the time to do it. Okay, it's going to be real busy. A guy yesterday wanted some coaching, and I said, I'm not going to take you through a coaching thing in December. It's unfair. It's too busy. Yeah, we go crazy if we were trying to coach in December. But in January, we do have this Back to Church crash course that we're doing, and it's open, and we'll probably, have 7-8 people in there. I mean, that's kind of about the limit. So if you're interested, let me know. We'll get you some stuff and get you in there. So anyway, appreciate all of you and all that you do. I'm going to sign out. We'll catch you here next time. Thanks for being friends. We'll catch you later. Take care. Bye.